Good morning. This is your 10 a.m. daily weather briefing. Continuing with some cloudy and cold conditions out there this morning. We will have some snow moving into the area as we get into the afternoon and continuing through the overnight time frame. Overall, no significant changes to the snow forecast. We have dropped our numbers slightly due to some of the recent models that have come out since the earlier briefing, but just a slight drop in the numbers, but overall still expecting a fairly decent snow event as we move through the next 24 hours. Taking a look at the current surface analysis, we can see the precip shield off to the west of the local area with some reflectivities making it up across the peninsula. Again, we'll gradually see this precip moving and building in over the local area, and gradually as we move through the next 48 hours, we'll see this whole system pulling off the east coast with high pressure building in as we get into the weekend. If we take a look at the upper level winds this morning, seeing some northwesterly winds closest to the surface, becoming westerly as we get up in the mid and upper levels, seeing our peak wind today of 98 knots at 25,000 feet, and the freezing level was at the surface this morning. We'll take a look at the local radar here. We do have some light reflectivity or radar returns pushing through across the mid portions of the peninsula as well as just west of the local area, indicating some elevated precip, maybe a few flurries making it to the surface across the area, but right now most of that precip is staying elevated as we continue to see the lower levels start to moisten as we move through the remainder of the morning, possibly seeing some flurries or light snow as early as the late morning to around noon time frame, but a bulk of that activity will be coming as we get later in the afternoon. Taking a look at the current visible satellite, again, that big cloud field with this system moving in over the area, going to keep things cloudy today with those cloud bases gradually lowering as we move through the day. Again, do have some of that reflectivity locally over the peninsula, but again, the bulk of that precip still well off to the west and southwest. We are seeing some snow reports down here over southeast Virginia, so we will continue to see that building over the area again, particularly as we get into the afternoon time frame. We'll take a look at the high resolution model here to see how things play out as we move through the next 48 hours. Again, kind of picking up on some of that reflectivity over the local area with the HER model here, but again, not making it to the surface at this time while we have some dry air closest to the surface. But as we move through the day, we will start to see that building in over the local area again, particularly as we get past the 11 or 12 local time frame, when we'll start to see a better chance of some light snow, with that light to moderate snow becoming likely as we get later in the afternoon. And we'll see that continuing as we move through the overnight time frame and into the early morning hours of Thursday. And with some of the latest model runs, seeing some better agreement with the possibility of some breaks in that snow as we get past mainly the 4 to 5 a.m. time frame, with maybe some lingering light snow around through times after that into the start of the day on Thursday, possibly seeing a break in the activity, and then we'll see that upper level low continue, or upper level trough continue to move eastward, and that's going to bring some energy, possibly enough to get a few scattered light snow showers going, maybe a little bit more in the way of accumulation, maybe up to an inch as we move through the late morning, early afternoon on Thursday. And then behind that, we'll see those winds really start to crank up for the later part of the day, likely seeing a wind advisory as those winds do get above that 25 knot threshold with those peak gusts, and we'll likely see those winds staying elevated with that tight pressure gradient behind this system overnight Thursday into much of the day on Friday. But things will dry out, and we'll slowly start to see those clouds breaking as we move into the day on Friday. If we look at the extended forecast here, zoomed out behind this system, we will see some breezy days again for Thursday and the end of the week on Friday, as you can see this tight pressure gradient, but we will see an extended period of some dry weather over the local area as we move into the weekend and the beginning of next week. We see here this high pressure starts to build in for the weekend. That's going to weaken that pressure gradient and weaken those winds, and we will see some fairly quiet conditions through the extended forecast here. And as we get later in the weekend and into the start of next week, we'll likely see some return a return of some southerly flow, some those thickness values raising up so that we'll have some more mild temperatures moving into the area, back to more seasonable or maybe slightly above average temperatures as we move into the beginning of next week. Moving into Tuesday, we will see this short wave to our north kind of pushing through. Right now, all indications are that this energy stays well north of the local area, not expecting any precip from that at this time, but that's something we'll be keeping an eye on, possibly a next rain chance late in the day on Tuesday. As you can see, model here indicating some precip around the area, but that's late Tuesday, possibly into Wednesday, if that does play out as the models indicate. So looking at the 24-hour weather risk chart for today, keeping a yellow risk for any precip up until the noon time frame this morning. Again, mainly towards the later part of the morning, just a chance of maybe a few flurries, possibly a light snow shower. But a bulk of that activity will come in as we move into the afternoon, as we increase to a red risk for precip, and we'll start to see those cloud bases lowering, picking up a yellow risk for some reduced ceilings and visibilities as that light snow activity starts to move into the area. We'll see our high temperature this morning, or right around noon, around 28 degrees. Winds staying out of the north, 6 to 11 knots. Will be chilly. We'll see those wind chill values in the upper teens and lower 20s for the afternoon. And as we get into the later afternoon, mainly as we pass the 15 local time frame, we'll see that light snow likely, and we'll see some moderate snow mixing in with that. And that will continue as we move through the overnight, possibly a few periods of some heavier snow moving through with that, with those winds picking up slightly as we pass the midnight time frame out of the north, 7 to 12 knots. So continuing with that red risk of precip through that time period, and an orange risk for those reduced ceilings and visibilities with that snow activity moving through the area. And we'll see those wind chill values continue in the mid-teens overnight and into the start of the day on Thursday. We'll see our low temperature around 23 degrees. And again, overall, have dropped about an inch off of our snow total numbers. So looking at accumulation between 3 and 6 inches over the next 24 hours. And again, those ceilings will be quite low and visibility quite low with this activity as we move through the overnight hours as well. We'll see our tides about a foot below normal. And then Thursday, we'll have the chance for some lingering light snow early, and then possibly a break in that activity. And then as that upper level energy moves through, we'll once again get a chance of a few snow showers around the late morning, early afternoon time frame. So we do keep an orange risk for that precip possibility, and additional snow accumulation up to an inch with that activity for Thursday, putting the grand total to around 4 to 7 inches for this system as it pushes through the local area. Points south will see a bit more in accumulation closer to the center of that disturbance, and then points north we'll see a fairly tight gradient or tight cutoff as we go further north with those snow accumulations dropping off, particularly as we get past the north of the Salisbury area. We'll see slightly breezy conditions for Thursday as well, with those conditions becoming breezy, and with the light fluffier snow, possibly seeing some blowing snow around the area. Wind chill values will be in the mid-teens, with our high temperature around 30 degrees. So with those breezy conditions, do have that red risk for winds that are above 25 knots expected, particularly as we get later in the day tomorrow. And we will see some reduced ceilings and visibilities, with possibly any snow activity continuing through the day on Thursday. Thursday night, we continue with an orange risk for those elevated winds, as we do expect breezy conditions to continue. We'll see most of the cloudy conditions early, becoming partly cloudy as we get into the day on Friday. Cold once again, wind chill values in the lower teens and upper single digits. We'll see our actual low temperature around 22 degrees. And Friday, we'll see a sunnier day with partly cloudy and mostly sunny conditions. We'll see breezy conditions continuing at least through much of the day, particularly during the first part of the day. So we do keep an orange risk for those elevated winds, and then we'll see those winds decreasing as that low pulls away later in the day and into the evening time frame. Once again, chilly, but it does look like we could see some temperatures above freezing, or we'll likely see some temperatures above freezing after this event. Will help, along with that sun, melt off some of the accumulated snow. Wind chill values will be in the upper teens to low to mid 20s as we move through the day on Friday. Looking at the latest snowfall map that we'll be issuing later this morning for this event. Again, as mentioned, we have dropped accumulation totals slightly, particularly in the local area, down to a 4 to 7 inch total for the local Wallops area and just south of here. Further south, we'll see those greater values, 7 to 10 inches down towards the southern tip of the Delmarva Peninsula, and we'll see the accumulation totals dropping off as we go points north 2 to 4 just north of Wallops, and then up north of Salisbury down to 1 to 2, and then I had cut off the accumulations a bit more the further north you go, as it does look like points well north will struggle to see much accumulating snow. So that's the latest summary for our snow map that we will be issuing later this morning, and we'll likely find that on the Wallops Weather Office website if you're interested in the latest forecast. Looking at the extended forecast here, we'll see again partly cloudy, breezy conditions continuing on Friday with those highs in the upper 30s, and then getting into the weekends, we'll be moving back to more seasonable temperatures. Fairly chilly on Saturday, partly to mostly cloudy mainly late and overnight time frame, but a high around 40 degrees, and then a high of 46 as we go into Sunday with mostly sunny conditions, so a much more seasonable day and fairly nice as we move into the start of next week with partly cloudy conditions and a high around 49 degrees. And we'll see possibly temperatures back into the 50s as we get into Tuesday with some additional cloud cover with that upper level disturbance or trough moving in just to our north, and we'll see those low temperatures gradually rising above 30 degrees as we move towards the end of the weekend into the start of next week as well. So that's going to wrap up the 10 a.m. daily weather briefing. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8:15 and 10 a.m. Enjoy the rest of your day.